What are the odds? Two most influential leaders, Trump and Putin, prepare to meet this week in Alaska to discuss what could redraw the map of Europe or leave it marred for years to come. The war? The ceasefire? What could be the outcome? On the other side of a global war, as the Israel-Hamas conflict drags into yet another week of stalled negotiations, one cannot help but ask if peace is truly the goal. Why are key opportunities for dialogue being rejected? Efforts mediated by international partners have hit repeated dead ends, with Israel expressing readiness for incremental agreements, while Hamas maintains rigid demands that some diplomats fear could derail the entire process. Sources close to the talks say humanitarian access and security guarantees remain contentious. But the impasse raises difficult questions about whether both sides share the same vision for lasting peace. As we delve into the details of these wars around the globe that shifts the world's attention, many more trending stories will be explored in this afternoon's Flash News. Do stay with us. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Flash News. A senior official from the United Nations nuclear watchdog will travel to Tehran today, Monday, for high-level talks. But Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says there will be no visit to nuclear sites. The move is seen by diplomats as a calculated signal, engaging just enough to ease pressure while avoiding the direct inspections needed to confirm the nature of Iran's nuclear activities. For Israel, the lack of access strengthens long-standing concerns that Tehran may be buying time for ambitions beyond peaceful energy use. And if a nation truly has nothing to hide, why will it shut the door on the very inspection that could clear its name? While in Israel, families of hostages held in Gaza are calling for a nationwide general strike next week Sunday, the appeal follows the Security Cabinet's decision to expand the war and push deeper into Gaza City. Military leaders believe the offensive is vital to dismantle Hamas's command structure and bring Israel closer to ending the threat from Gaza. But for hostage families, it is a strategy that could increase the danger to their loved ones still held underground. Their call for a strike is both a plea and a protest, highlighting the emotional strain of a nation torn between military necessity and human lives. Late Sunday night, an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City has been reported to have killed several journalists, including 4 from Al Jazeera, according to hospital officials at Al-Shifa. Among the dead, well-known correspondent Anas al-Sharif. The strike damaged the hospital's emergency entrance and has fueled international criticism. United States Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal accused Israel of genocide and called for an immediate halt to American weapons supply. Israel has not commented on the strike specifically, but has repeatedly said that Hamas embeds its fighters and weapons among civilians and even near medical facilities, a tactic Israel argues makes civilian casualties unavoidable despite efforts to minimize harm. And if militants operate from behind the cover of hospitals, schools, and the press, can any military avoid tragedy entirely, is the question that lingers. While Australia Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says his country will formally recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations next month. The decision follows similar moves by other Western governments, and it comes amid growing criticism of Israel's action in Gaza. Supporters of recognition see it as a step towards reviving the two-state solution and increasing pressure for a ceasefire. But Israel's government views this differently. It warns the risk of rewarding Hamas's violence while ignoring the security realities Israel faces every day. The diplomatic divide over how to achieve peace in the region appears to be deepening. Now, away from the war in Israel, the war with Israel and Hamas, and now to the war in Ukraine. Over the weekend, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy reaffirmed that Ukraine will not cede any territory to Russia as part of a potential peace agreement. Days before the United States President Donald Trump meets Russian President Vladimir Putin for high-stakes negotiations. In a video message released on Saturday, Zelenskyy acknowledged his readiness to see the war end, but emphasized that Ukraine's borders are protected under its constitution and will not be altered through negotiation. Let's take a listen.
President Trump announced preparations for his meeting with Putin in Alaska. Very far away from this war, which is raging on our land, against our people, and which anyway can't be ended without us, without Ukraine. Of course, we will not reward Russia for what it has perpetrated. The Ukrainian people deserve peace. But all partners must understand what a dignified peace is. The answer to the Ukrainian territorial question already is in the Constitution of Ukraine. No one will deviate from this, and no one will be able to. Ukrainians will not gift their land to the occupier. This war must be brought to an end, and Russia must end it. Russia started it and is dragging it out, ignoring all deadlines, and that is the problem, not something else. We are ready to work together with President Trump, together with all our partners for real and, most importantly, lasting peace. A peace that will not collapse because of Moscow's desires. Ukraine is ready for real decisions that can bring peace. Any decisions that are against us, any decisions that are without Ukraine, are at the same time decisions against peace. They will not achieve anything. These are stillborn decisions. They are unworkable decisions. And we all need real and genuine peace.
Well, his statement comes after Trump suggested the possibility of a territory swap as part of a statement to end the conflict.
We're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories.
Well, the Trump-Putin summit set for next week in Alaska, this week in Alaska, is expected to focus on efforts to halt the war, now in its third year, and address the broader security crisis in Eastern Europe. Now, while hopes for a breakthrough remains uncertain, Kyiv's stance signals that any peace agreement will hinge on Russia withdrawing from occupied territories. With both allies and adversaries watching closely, the talks could shape the future of the region's stability and determine whether diplomacy can succeed where years of conflict have failed. Today, Zelenskyy thanked European leaders as he secured endorsement from the European Union and NATO, backing his call for Ukraine to be included in any negotiations as a condition for peace.
And all the partners share the same understanding of the need for a ceasefire, for an end to the killings. Only one actor stands against this: Putin. His only card is the ability to kill, and he is trying to sell the cessation of killings at the highest possible price.
While European leaders stress that peace talks cannot proceed without Ukraine's direct involvement and robust security guarantees. Meanwhile, the White House signaled openness to a possible trilateral summit involving Trump, Putin, and Zelenskyy. Though a purely bilateral meeting remains the plan. Vladimir Putin has not yet agreed to Zelenskyy's participation, but Zelenskyy, supported by Europe, insists only a settlement that respects Ukraine's sovereignty can hold. Because peace forged without Ukraine having a seat at the table doesn't seem to be one that can hold for long. While away from Ukraine, we see that the United States is also actively involved in the rest of the world. Armenia and Azerbaijan have signed a United States brokered peace agreement, formally ending decades of hostilities and opening the door to normalize diplomatic and economic relations. The pact reached during a White House ceremony attended by the United States President Donald Trump is being hailed as a landmark achievement in the South Caucasus, a region long marred by ethnic tensions and geopolitical rivalry. The deal grants the United States exclusive development rights to a strategic transit corridor through the South Caucasus. Expected to boost energy exports and regional trade, it also lifts restrictions on the United States-Azerbaijan defense cooperation, a move likely to draw Moscow's attention given Russia's traditional influence in the area. Well, let's take a listen to what this meeting was like.
It's a long time, 35 years. They fought, and now they're friends, and they're going to be friends for a long time. This declaration establishes what they are calling a great honor for me. I didn't ask for this, the Trump route for international peace and prosperity, which is a special transit area that will allow Azerbaijan to get full access to its territory of Nakhchivan while fully respecting Armenia's sovereignty.
Well, the conflict between the two nations stemmed from the late 1980s when the Nagorno-Karabakh region, predominantly ethnic Armenian, broke away from Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan regained full control of the territory in 2023, triggering the mass exodus of nearly all 100,000 ethnic Armenian residents to Armenia. The agreement includes commitments to cease hostilities, respect territorial integrity, and restore diplomatic ties. United States officials said it was the result of sustained shuttle diplomacy, marking the first resolution of a frozen conflict on Russia's periphery since the Cold War. Now, analysts say the accord could transform the region's political and economic landscape. It offers the West greater leverage to curb sanctions, evasions, enhances regional stability, and provides new opportunities for trade and technology cooperations. However, experts warn that the agreement's success will hinge on sustained United States engagement and genuine cooperations between Yerevan and Baku, two nations with a long history of failed peace efforts. Iran has welcomed the accord as a step towards regional stability, but cautioned against foreign interference near its borders. Rights groups have urged Washington to press Baku on human rights concerns, including the detention of hundreds of political prisoners. 9 companies, including 3 United States firms, have expressed interest in developing the newly designated Trump route for international peace and prosperity. The corridor is expected to become a key artery for energy and goods between Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Now, while the agreement signals a breakthrough in a conflict that has shaped regional politics for more than 3 decades, and neighboring states and international bodies largely praised the agreement and its economic and political promise, its durability is already being tested, as recent developments show that while Iran commends this, Iran's intention is shown to block the planned corridor near its borders, citing concerns about foreign influence and regional stability. The corridor, capable of reshaping trade and diplomacy in the region, it now faces an unseen obstruction. And if a key neighbor like Iran opposes it, can the Trump route really fulfill its grand promise of prosperity and peace? For now, it only stands as a rare moment of diplomacy reshaping a region at the crossroads of global power competition, and a success in the eyes of a lot of global watchers. Well, on the African scene, we see that the United States also has its influence there. On tariffs in Africa, how the nations are reeling. Let's take a listen.
South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. You know, we're paying them billions of dollars, so we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa.
Well, African countries are pushing to renegotiate steep new tariffs imposed by the United States President Donald Trump, warning that the measures could deepen unemployment and disrupt key industries. The new trade rules, which took effect Thursday, includes a 30% duty on some South African exports to the United States. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke with Trump earlier in the week, with both sides agreeing to continue talks. Now, despite recent tensions, South Africa believes there is still room for negotiation. The United States administration has halted aid to the country, accusing it of pursuing anti-American and anti-white policies. While Botswana and Lesotho have also signaled interest in revising their tariff rates. Lesotho narrowly avoided a 50% duty, which was reduced to 15%. Official warns the new rate remains high enough to endanger thousands of jobs in the clothing sector, a vital industry that produces well-known brands for the American market. Economists fear that the tariffs could further strain African economies already facing high unemployment and limited growth prospects. The coming weeks are expected to be crucial for diplomatic efforts to avert deeper economic fallout. But in Australia, on the other side of the global landscape, we see Australia has struck a landmark defense agreement. A 10 billion United States dollars, 6.5 billion US dollars for 11 advanced Mogami-class stealth frigates from Japan's Mitsubishi Heavy Industries in what analysts call a defining moment for Canberra's naval ambitions and Tokyo's emergence as a weapons exporter. The deal positions Australia to significantly enhance its maritime punch. The new frigates, built with advanced stealth, long-range strike capabilities and automation, will replace the aging Anzac-class fleet with an ability to carry up to 128 air defense missiles, quadruple the current payload, and operates with just 90 crew members. The ships are designed for high-end missions across the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Now, under this agreement, the first 3 vessels will be built in Japan and emerge into operational service around 2029 or 2030. The remaining 8 will be constructed domestically in Western Australia, reinforcing Australia's shipbuilding sector and forging deeper industrial ties with Japan. Strategically, this marks Australia stepping up as a Pacific maritime power. The deal enhances regional deterrence amid growing Chinese military activity and reflects Australia's security shift towards deeper cooperation with allies, bolstering interoperability with both Japan and the United States under the broader AUKUS framework. Experts say that this also signals that Tokyo is flexing its post-pacifist credentials by becoming a major exporter of defense hardware. One question naturally arises: if Australia is rapidly boosting long-range naval capabilities to secure its trade routes and northern approaches, what does this mean for the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific, and how will Beijing respond to these deepening trilateral security alignment? Well, as we look at these recent happenings and the wars around the globe, with the humanitarian toll growing and international mediators exhausting new approaches, the question would be whether the parties are willing to compromise for the sake of ending both the cycle of violence. For now, the path forward is clouded, but what is clear is that without mutual concessions, the region's fragile hope for stability will remain just that, hope. And that brings us to the end of the Flash News today. Until next time, thank you for watching. We leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Do have a great day.